And welcome to episode number 154 of What Does This Button Do? It's an educational show about smartphones and tablets with Geeks on Tour. That's us. Today's beginner's lesson will be, do cell phone boosters really work? But Chris has a quick tip first. What do you have, Chris?
It's a Google Photos tip, or just a Photos tip in general. And the idea is how to know if your photos have been backed up. Please check that they are. It's very important. I have run into so many people. I wish I'd known about Google Photos last week before I dropped my phone overboard and
So
lost
true.
all my vacation photos. Well, that comes from a person who wasn't even using Google Photos, but it happens to people who do use Google Photos too, because they don't understand when the backup is complete. Just because you see photos in your Google Photos app doesn't mean they're backed up. You need to look for the message, backup complete. And I say, view them on another device. That's the only way you know for sure that they are backed up. So I want to show you that. First I have to take a couple pictures so that we know that they're adjusting. And we always like to have a selfie when we're doing these shows.
Get it all in there.
Yeah, trying to get it all. I want one of those new, what is it, the Pixel 3 that has the wide angle selfie.
Yeah. We just heard about that this week.
All right, and here, I'll take one this way. And, oh, I held down. I took a few.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's good. I wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Because, so, I've taken some pictures with this phone. Now I'm going to show you the screen on this phone.
All right.
And we go to Google Photos. And there is the photo I just took. So some people think that that means they've been backed up. They are, quote, in Google Photos, and they can now delete them from their device, knowing that they are backed up. They are in Google Photos.
Not so quick.
No, 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 no. So first question is, are your photos backed up? Second question is, are you sure? And you know that you can get my Google Photos book, and right in the first chapter, chapter 1, before you get started, there are Mrs. Geek's 12 rules, and rule number 2 talks about how to make sure that backup is complete. So let's look on my phone. And if we now look at the very top, and sometimes you have to kind of pull the screen down to see this top, it says that 6 items are left to back up. It's waiting for Wi-Fi. And that's very common. The default setting is for your phone not to use your mobile data for doing this backup. It's set to Wi-Fi only. So I have to go and connect the phone to Wi-Fi for it to be backing up, or change the setting to allow it to use cellular, one or the other. And you do that with the 3-line menu and settings. Where'd they move settings? There it is. And backup and sync. And here is where I could tell it, go ahead and use my cellular data for backup, and that would be fine. But I just want to show you that if you connect to Wi-Fi, that will do the trick as well. You don't have to tell it to do anything more. You just have to get your phone onto Wi-Fi. And notice that we're getting it onto a GOT, Geeks On Tour, AT&T. We'll be talking about that later. And now I go back to Google Photos, and it says backing up, 6 items left. And you can watch the progress. I think this is real important to to really understand what's going on. 4 items left, 3 items left, 2 items. Backup complete. That's what you want to see. Backup
Very
complete.
important.
But that's not all. Do you? Yes, I do trust that backup complete, but I want to make sure I know where those are.
Belt and suspenders.
So I say that you should also go to your computer and go to Google Photos. Make sure you're logged in on the same account as used on your phone. And if they are truly backed up, you should be seeing those photos on your computer. So that is my tip for the day. Do not assume that your photos have made it to Google Photos, uploaded, backed up, just because you see them in the app, because the app is showing you photos that are on your phone. You need to see backup complete and check it on the computer too.
Cool.
Okay.
Bill has a question. Does HDR back up both the photo and the HDR version?
I believe you're talking about iPhone, because iPhone has a setting when you take an HDR, which is actually a combination of 3 shots, that it keeps the normal and the HDR. As long as your phone kept it, then yes, Google Photos backs it up. But there is a setting.
Yeah.
I mean, like I have mine set to not keep both.
And anything to say about freeing up space that appeared under the backup complete?
Yeah, just you can do that. That free up space will delete the device copy, and you're still able to see and work with the copy that's uploaded. Personally, I don't do that until I have copied the pictures to a second place. Because if you upload them to Google Photos, then delete them from your phone, you don't have a backup anymore. You only have one copy. So I use a second cloud backup. I use OneDrive. Or you could cable it to your computer and copy all the photos. But then the free up space is the way to free up space. You may have also noticed a message on my phone saying it's full. So I do need to do that shortly.
Okay. And whoops. There we are. Hey everyone, I'm Jim, and here together with my wife Chris, we're Geeks on Tour. Do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? And do you have questions about these amazing devices, your smartphones and your tablets? And, well, what do you think?
We are geeks who teach, and we think the best way to learn is in bite-sized pieces on a regular basis. So that's why we came up with this weekly show, and we collect all of the content that we produce on our website, geeksontour.com.
Yeah.
Geeksontour.com.
And there's a shot of our live website. Pretty cool.
It's new stuff is added all the time.
And where are we now, Chris?
Heber Springs, Arkansas. We're here for the Work Camper Rendezvous rally, and we got here a week early. We were in the same spot last year, and we know that the campground was really pretty.
It is gorgeous here, but there's not any Wi-Fi here, and so we have to use cellular, and we have some new devices that we want to talk about here.
Beginner's lesson. Do cell boosters really work? What we just bought. It's called the Wii Boost. And what did that used to be called?
It was Wilson Electronics. Wilson Electronics has been around for quite a while, and they're generally regarded in the industry as the top of the line. And we got this from our friends at Techno RV, and it's also recommended by our friends at mobileinternetinfo.com. And
Yes. So it's actually been on our list for a while,
yeah,
but we knew that we were going to be meeting up with Techno RV, so we waited till then to buy it. So we just happened to have bought it a week ago
yeah, and
before here.
I set it up, and we have a little video, and we'll be showing that in just a few minutes.
And it's also highly recommended by our friends at mobileinternetinfo.com, Chris and Cherie.
They are the experts.
And that's good enough for me.
Okay. And how it works? Well, there's an outdoor antenna mounted high. That's an omnidirectional antenna, so I don't have to worry about pointing it or anything. And that has some coax cable that comes inside the rig here and to the amplifier. It's a powered amplifier, and it then in turn has another cable that goes to an indoor antenna that I can put close to our devices. What devices are we using here?
And if you want to, there's WeBoost has a website, and they have some nice little videos that go through that. One of the points that I think is important to make, I thought this quote did it well, that this unit replaced our first WeBoost, at least 8 years old. And with the improved technology, we went from nothing on our cell phone without a booster to spotty but slow internet with the previous model, to now getting the 4G high-speed consistent connection with this 4G XRV. Very, very impressed.
Yeah.
Now, we don't sell this. We don't get any kind of commission, no nothing. This is just our experience that we are doing here. But one of the things that we think is important to understand is that newer technology
Just
gets
works
better results.
Right.
We've had friends that have said, I have this 4-year-old hotspot and it's just not working. And I went into Verizon or T-Mobile or wherever they got it, and they just want to sell me a new one. Well, yeah.
Yeah. New technology works better. They have better radios, they have better antennas, and they're learning new stuff all the time about this, and they're improving it. Absolutely.
So we had an external antenna, a different kind, and yeah, it wasn't doing much of anything.
Yeah, it seemed like it wasn't helping at all. When we first got it, it seemed to be working pretty well, but now not so much.
So we figured it was time to get a new one.
And it worked out well.
So what are we talking about? We're talking about cellular boosting,
not Wi-Fi.
So it's not wired to any particular cell provider.
Right. It will boost anyone's cell signal. So if you have AT&T, it'll boost that. T-Mobile and Verizon, it'll boost those. It doesn't really care what it is boosting or who the cell signal is coming from.
Or all three at the same time.
Right.
I mean, we have
all three.
We have one of each.
At least one of each.
And the booster does affect all of them. We really wanted to show you the campground where we are and how this works. So we pre-recorded. We went out this morning and
hi everyone, I'm Jim from Geeks On Tour. And we're here in Heber Springs, Arkansas at a campground. Pretty typical. There's no Wi-Fi here. How are we going to get connected? Well, we need good cell signal just for our phones and then for the data that we use from the cell towers. Now, there is a cell tower here somewhere. I saw it earlier. But out here, I have 3 phones. I have my Project Pi phone. I have a Samsung on Verizon. And this is an older Samsung phone. And I have Chris's iPhone here. And what are the signals here? This one's on T-Mobile, right?
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile.
And it's pretty worthless right here.
And Project Pi is my phone. It gets signal from US Cellular and Sprint and T-Mobile. So we did some speed tests, and but I want to show you our antenna here. We got an external antenna with a booster, and we're told that these things do work. And it has been our experience that, yes, indeed, they do. But your mileage may vary, especially with the different cell services. So we'll throw in some of the test results in a few minutes.
All right, but generally, without the booster, is your phone usable here?
Without the booster, actually, I'm getting, just without the booster, I would have to turn off my Wi-Fi. And if I'm only getting mobile data, it depends on where I'm standing, whether or not it's going to work at all. So outside here with my Project Fi, I'm getting, right now, no signal.
Okay. So if you come inside, so how does this antenna work? What's the, what did you have to set up here?
Okay. Well, this has an external omnidirectional antenna at the top. I've mounted it on this mast, and I use a Techno RV suction cup mount on the outside of the rig. These things work great. I already had the mast, and so I just attached the antenna.
So you only put that up when we need it, right?
Right.
It's not, it doesn't stay there permanently.
No, it could be mounted permanently onto the rig if I wanted to, and then kind of snake the coax into the rig. And they give you all the mounting stuff to do that if you want to. It's really a fully functioning kit for an RV. So you have an external antenna that runs in, and that has a cable that runs inside to an amplifier that's plugged into power, and that in turn feeds an antenna inside the rig.
Okay, so let's go in. And the antenna inside, what, there's some kind of a distance. Nice picture I just got. The antenna inside must be a certain distance from the antenna outside, right?
Right, and that's to prevent oscillation between the two signals, because basically what it's doing is it's amplifying the outside signal and bringing it inside. If this antenna were too close to that antenna, they would start to oscillate, so the signal would just get overwhelming, and that would not be a good thing.
Now we have a pretty little RV here, so you're talking just the distance from the back of the RV.
Yeah, 10, 15 feet is good.
Okay.
Some people put that external antenna up a lot higher, and they can get this kind of closer to it. But I noticed that just walking in here and getting this phone closer to this antenna, I now have 5 bars of LTE.
Whoa.
So that's telling me that I'm getting a strong signal. However, these bars really don't mean much when it comes down to it. It's a nice indicator, but what really matters is a speed test. So if I go to a speed test here, I didn't do it outside, but I'll show you the results.
And there's another distance thing that's important, right? The phone needs to be pretty close to this inside antenna.
Right, and according to the specs, it matters how much a signal is on the outside that gives me the longer range on the inside. So I'm getting almost 5 megabits per second down in here, and not a whole lot. But again, this is using T-Mobile.
Right.
There's really no T-Mobile. I checked. There are no T-Mobile cell towers in this area. So I'm getting something that's usable, 5 down and 1.5 up. And I might be able to stream some small video, but it'll work with voice a lot better inside than it will outside. with no signal at all. Now, these external antennas don't work if there's no signal at all, but if there is a signal, it will amplify it and it will make it better.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jim.
Pretty cool.
Okay.
What do you think?
Well, a couple of comments I want to make. First of all, Verizon is really good here, and we knew that. So we actually, but for the desire to do this experiment, you probably wouldn't have even put the antenna out.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Verizon is so good here. And we did a lot. You did a lot, I know, of speed tests the last couple days to check things out, but it got too confusing to put together in a slide. We highly recommend, if you want to learn more about this stuff, you need to go to mobileinternetinfo.com. Our friends Chris and Cherie, they do significant testing of all of these devices, and they have it all written up in tables, and there's a book too. I thought I had it all set here, but let me go show you their website for a minute.
Okay.
And we've done whole shows with them and showing their website, so you can go look back at our archives. But mobileinternetinfo.com, and then under gear, just want you to check this out. Mobile cellular boosters. And they have full reviews and specifications for all of them. So notice this one here, WeBoost Drive 4GX. That is their top pick, and that's the one we got. But you can go in and see all the detail and videos. They have some great detailed videos, as does TechnoRV on this WeBoost cellular booster. They have a how to get it all set up video. So if you're interested, go there. And that is for cell boosting.
Cool. So what we bought for a hotspot, this is new, is a Nighthawk. What's a Nighthawk, Chris?
Nighthawk is a wonderful new red wine blend from Bodabox. This helps our internet experience tremendously.
Right, especially when it's not working at all. We have Plan B, Nighthawk. No.
Not that Nighthawk?
No, not that Nighthawk.
Not that Nighthawk.
This
okay, one. That Nighthawk.
We got this Nighthawk. It's a cellular Wi-Fi hotspot. And what it does is it takes the cellular, and it's on AT&T, it takes the cellular signal and creates a Wi-Fi hotspot inside our rig. And that's what we connect to when we want to use the AT&T. So we got this special deal from OTR Mobile that has an unlimited AT&T data plan, and we got the Nighthawk hotspot with the MIMO antenna. And that the Nighthawk is made by Netgear, and so is that antenna. So that's why we got that. It is highly regarded, it's highly recommended, and it is a little bit bigger than most hotspots that you might have seen around, but this baby gives us unlimited data on AT&T. They say it's not going to get throttled. It might be
network managed, subject to network management.
But for so far, we've been getting good speeds. One of the cool things about this particular hotspot is it has antenna connections. Now, not all hotspots do, but this has an external antenna that Chris is holding up there that it can be put up on a window. It can be fairly directional. You can set it up, and the inside of this, and I recommend you go to the Mobile Internet Info's review and unboxing of this for all the information that they have. It's just great.
Yeah, you may have noticed when Jim was showing our phones that we have Verizon, T-Mobile, and with Project Fi, we also have Sprint and US Cellular. So the only one missing.
And we had AT&T before, and now we have it again.
And AT&T is generally known as the second best.
Yeah. Verizon is generally regarded as the best overall nationwide coverage, but in some places, AT&T is better. And in some other places, T-Mobile might be the best. So that's why we have to have all three. We have to have internet wherever we are just to do our job.
So we were at a rally last week, the RV Travel Club rally, and there was somebody there presenting from OTR. And when they explained how it was a AT&T with no contract and unlimited.
No contract was key for us.
And that it was packaged with this Nighthawk hotspot and the MIMO. Now, what is MIMO antenna?
Multiple in, multiple out is what it stands for. And it will give you a better signal. Now, we always say that all of this technology is two-way radio, and radios on different frequencies, and understanding radio. And most of our folks do know that a better radio and a better antenna will give you a better connection. Even back in the old transistor radio days, a better antenna would give you better reception. And this is just brought into the 21st century.
So on rvmobileinternet.com, they do talk about this MIMO antenna a lot being the best. So why can't we use this MIMO antenna out on a pole outside to boost cell signal?
Because it's a different signal. It's a different frequency. You're talking cellular versus Wi-Fi. Now, when we have this inside, it does get some boost from our cellular signal booster, just like your regular phone would. Your cell phone will get a boost. This also will get a boost from the external antenna with the amplified signal booster. Sometimes it works better that way, and sometimes you'll find that it actually degrades the signal because there's too much involved. So sometimes having this with the antenna is better than having it without. Sometimes having it without is better than having it with.
But what I was getting at.
What were you getting at?
Is that the MIMO, multiple in, multiple out, needs to have these antenna ports.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Not all Wi-Fi hotspots have connections for that. And this one also has an Ethernet port, so I can plug that a different hotspot into that and use the cellular signal to create a hotspot using our Wi-Fi Ranger, for instance.
But you also don't have to have this antenna to use this hotspot. It has antennas inside.
Right.
Right. So it's pretty good right on its own.
Yeah, it has 4 antennas inside. When it's connected with the MIMO antenna, it's only using 2. That disables the internal antennas, and it uses the 2 that are in their MIMO external antenna. Wow. Pretty confusing, huh?
There is a lot to it. Yeah. There's to understanding it. Now to just using it, you basically plug and go.
Right.
There's not that. So,
Oh, Bill had another question there. Is the powered antenna, the amplifier for our booster, is it 12 volt or 120 volt? Yes. It's actually, they give you power supplies for both 12 volt and for 110. So if we're plugged into power, 110 power, it'll work that way. If we want to, we can plug it into our 12 volt power that we have in the rig all the time.
and once again, well, here there's a lot more detail on all of this on the mobile internet info, and they have the unboxing video that goes through all the details is available for anybody, but then there's an in-depth how to use and how to set all the settings. That is a video that is for mobile internet info members. They have a membership kind of like we do, so check it out.
Yeah,
and we will put links in our show notes.
And if you really need to know about all this stuff, those guys at mobileinternetinfo.com are the experts, and we trust them to tell you the right stuff. Our app of the week. I figured that since we were doing all of this stuff with these speed tests and stuff like that, I would use Speed Test by Ookla as our app of the week. And it's available for both iPhones and Androids. And Chris has one here. Let's see.
So this is my iPhone. So you would go get it on the App Store.
Or the Play Store on Android.
Right? Same thing. And you can search for OOKLA and Speed Test. Or you could just search by Speed Test. You would find it.
There are a lot of speed test apps out there,
Oh.
but we just happen to like this particular one. And they also have an app for the PC.
Right. You just go to speedtest.net website on
But there's also an app.
Oh, okay. Okay. A Windows
app.
All right. So there it is in the App Store. You could just open it, but I want to show you. I have it here, Speed Test. And all you do is tap go.
Yeah, you had a previous speed test in there.
Right.
It will record your results. You can use those results, and it'll keep a list of them. You can send them to Ookla, and they will compile this information. I don't normally do that, but you can see that AT&T here is getting some pretty good signal.
And that's even with the antenna just sitting on the table in front of us rather than being up in a window like it should be.
Pretty cool.
Okay. Shall I switch to a different Wi-Fi and check that?
Would you like to?
Sure. Let's show you the Verizon here. Verizon is using Jim's old Samsung phone called Mr. Geek. So if I just go into Wi-Fi and instead of being on the Got ATT, I put it on Mr. Geek. Now let's see what the speed test gives us. And it's still...
You have to hit
just
go.
type go. Tap go. It hasn't gotten the message that it's on. Yeah, that it's on Verizon now. There we go. Now it sees that it's on Verizon. And I tap go.
So just Mr. Geek being in there. Oh, but Mr. Geek is receiving a boost from the cell booster. It's closer to the external or the internal antenna, up front in the rig. So it's getting a pretty good boost. But we also did a lot of changes to see if it would work. We turned the booster on, the booster off, the MIMO antenna on, the MIMO antenna off, and
we're just totally confused now.
Man, whatever it took. But we do have the results. And bottom line, this stuff does work. A better antenna, a better signal will give you better results online. So the RV Cellular Signal Booster works well, and so does our Nighthawk Wi-Fi hotspot. And it has two different frequencies. It has the newer 5 gigahertz frequency as well as the old 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi frequencies. So much to learn. MobileInternetInfo.com.
Yeah, really. But so bottom line, yes, it does work. Absolutely. But not always. It doesn't always help. And there are times when, for example, Verizon here is better on its own, or it's not helped much, if at all. So your mileage may vary depending on where the towers are and how congested they are, all those things.
Bill says this crystal radio that attached to the fence when he was a kid, I built one of those myself. It worked the same too. Sometimes it would work okay with the screen and the window. And Marty asks, how do you get faster upload speeds?
I think maybe he's referring to the fact that the upload was faster than the download in some of our tests.
So, and your results, your mileage may vary.
But that's often the case with the boosters, right?
Yeah, it's often the case, and we want high upload speeds, especially for these shows that we do here. And Bill says, it might be helpful to tell viewers to be careful of clicking on ads with speed tests. Good point. It is, all of these free apps that you get come with ads, and sometimes those ads may be suspicious. Be careful with where you click or where you tap on your smartphones and tablets. Good?
Good.
All right, so that looks like that. See our website, geeksontour.com, and click on weekly class. That's where we have all of these shows. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com, and just search for Geeks on Tour. What else you got?
Sorry, I messed up something here. There we go.
Well, did you learn something? How about some questions for you? The WeBoost antenna improves signal. What type of signal? Cellular, Wi-Fi, or smoke signals?
Cellular. That's the whole point. Okay. Cellular and Wi-Fi are different.
All right. The WeBoost antenna boosts cell signals for which cell providers? Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, or any cell provider?
Any. It's just magic. It takes cellular signal and amplifies it.
And it doesn't matter who the cell signal comes from. The Nighthawk is A, cellular booster, B, mobile hotspot, or C, satellite communicator.
It is a mobile hotspot. It is actually a source of internet connection for us, not a cell booster.
MIMO antennas are recommended, but they require devices with what?
Those two
inputs. You have to have a connector in order to use that type of antenna. And the Nighthawk does that. It has a lot of neat features. Check out Mobile Internet Info's unboxing and you'll learn a lot. I guess that's the last question, huh?
No, there's two more.
Oh, here we go. Newer cellular equipment will almost always perform better than older models.
Yep.
Yep, we found that many times over the years. The newer stuff just works better. And signal strength, the number of bars, is not as meaningful as what?
Speed.
Yeah, so that's why we recommend a speed test to get the best results.
Download and upload speed.
Okay. Well, Chris, what's the page that lists all of our weekly shows?
geeksontour.com, and the menu item is weekly class. You'll see a listing of all 154 episodes there.
And what's the web page that lists all of our recent newsletters?
geeksontour.com, and the menu item is blogs and news. And the newsletter just went out last week. If you didn't get it, make sure to subscribe.
Okay. Well, that's it for episode number 154 of our weekly show. What does this button do? I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
And we're Geeks on Tour. Keep pressing those buttons.
And don't lose your photos.
Okay. See you next time. Bye-bye.